Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today I'm discussing the fact that Netflix is thinking about, well actually not even thinking about it now, they are going to be putting video games as a part of their service. Yeah, I don't quite understand how they're going to do this. I don't know if they're going to be going the Google Stadia route, or they're saying they're including it for free, but we don't have any real details on what exactly free means, because let's face it, nothing's really free in life. I know it comes with the subscription, but I want to know what kind of games they're going to make, because the games they've made so far on Netflix, not really that great of games, and the interactive movies they consider games. So I'm hoping we're not going to just see a bunch of Until Dawns and Beyond Two Souls. Anyway, hopefully it's not just some story-driven, you pick which way the character goes type of game. I'm hoping that you can somehow use a controller with their service. I don't know how they do that. I don't understand the complexities behind what they would need to do that. But I mean, I already use a controller when I use Netflix on my consoles. Maybe they could just, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be too difficult, but it would be interesting to see what type of games they'd put on there, because we've already gotten a worrying piece of information, and that is in the form of the person that they hired to help implement games onto the service. And who was that? Mike Verdu, who was an executive at Oculus, which is Facebook, Electronic Arts, do I need to say more about EA? Come on, and Zynga, the phone company. So you've got a phone game company, you've got EA, and you've got Facebook. Wonderful. What a great resume to show up to bringing a whole new platform to Netflix. Good Lord. I can't think of a worse guy that they could have picked unless it was Bobby Kotick or something like that. But what an interesting choice. Now, when I say that nothing is free in life, and I'm thinking about how are they going to implement this in the service, when they say, are these games going to be actually free, or are they going to be free-to-play games full of microtransactions? Let's make the real predictions here, real-world predictions with what's going on in the video game industry right now. It's going to be full of microtransactions. It's going to be a free-to-play game. I mean, there's articles already talking about how they're setting their sights on games like Fortnite. Now, of course, that's probably just speculation, but that's not a bad way to go. Can you imagine if they brought Fortnite to Netflix? That's not going to happen, but that would be absolutely ridiculous. The thing is, when it comes to Netflix and these streaming services with video games, we've already seen how successful Stadia was on that venture. And again, we don't know the monetization. Now, Google Stadia absolutely failed. We can all say it is objectively a failure. And that's because their pricing model was terrible, honestly. I mean, Game Pass blows it out of the water, and it also has that cloud support. So there's zero reason to get Google Stadia. Zero. You have to pay $60 for a brand new game, and it's just tied to Stadia. You're screwed when Google inevitably kills it, because they have a whole graveyard of projects that they've already killed. So when it comes to how Netflix would have to do this successfully, if it is really going to just be part of the service, they're not going to raise the prices in the future to make up for the fact of how much money they're going to be spending on these video games. They need to be a real service that is giving you access to a bunch of games every month, like Game Pass. Because Game Pass, I know I talk about it all the time, it is seriously the benchmark when it comes to subscription-based gaming, because it comes with so many different games, and Microsoft has so many different companies that they can now just put day one on Game Pass. Netflix, I don't believe, has the capital to just start buying companies. They're not Microsoft. Microsoft is huge. I mean, Sony barely just started buying a bunch of different companies. So I don't see Netflix going out and buying a bunch of big popular studios. We're not going to see crazy exciting games day one only on Netflix. Now, that could be something in the future if they really do stick with this, if it is a model that brings in more people, and they're gonna do it. They're gonna raise their subscription rate in the future to, or at least have it as like a module, because there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna look at this and not see this as good news. I think that's something we need to take into account here. There's going to be a lot of Netflix subscribers that don't care about video games. And they're going to start thinking, well, why am I paying for video games? Like, I don't want that as part of my service. Can I just pay less and not have the video games as part of my service? Hell, I don't know that I'd ever play video games on my Netflix subscription. I mean, I already have a bunch of different consoles, and again, you start thinking, who is the audience here? And that's the thing you got to think about whenever this business move happens. Who is the audience for this? Google Stadia, the audience was people that want to play video games but can't afford, we'll just say they can't afford a console and they can't afford a PC. Netflix, I guess, is targeting that same market, but I mean, Netflix is known for their movies, not video games. And again, they're going to run into that same issue. Hey, I have this service for my movies. Why are there suddenly video games on it? And can I pay less to not have that on there? Because they're those type of people that are going to go, I know you're adding stuff on for free, but can I get a cheaper option that just doesn't have those things on there? But overall, it would be interesting to see what Netflix can do, and I'm always excited about more competition because Game Pass needs competition. I know PS Now or whatever it's called exists, but I don't know a soul that has it. I'm sure it's getting more popular as better games come to it. I've heard like Red Dead Redemption was on it. I know quite a few bigger titles have come to PS Now, and that's great. The more competition, the better. The only thing that's going to get annoying is if for some reason in the future these sort of subscription gaming services are the only option, which is what I'm terrified about, and which is also why I've called Xbox Game Pass the best and worst thing for video games, because it is a wonderful deal, but if everybody goes down the route of becoming a subscription service, we're going to start seeing the same issue we're having now with our video subscription services. I mean, remember how great Netflix was when it first came out, and it was like, great, I don't have to pay for cable anymore, my bill's so much cheaper, I'm saving a ton of money, has all the shows I want, this is wonderful. And then all of these services started coming out and taking their exclusives back. The Office is no longer on Netflix in the US. Parks and Rec is no longer on Netflix in the US. A bunch of movies are constantly cycling in and out to the different places. And you have to have certain platforms to watch certain shows that are exclusives, like on HBO, like on, hell, Netflix has their own exclusives. So at some point, we're going to have to pay for every single subscription service in order to play the games that we want. And then it's going to be more expensive again. Game Pass will no longer be a great deal because a bunch of other games are taken by all these other studios. Now, I guess Game Pass isn't that great of a factor when it comes to exclusives, considering the fact that Microsoft just keeps buying studios. But we might see great indie games taken away from the platform and moved to other services. And then you're like, okay, well, I want to keep playing that game, so I have to move my subscription service over to that one, or I have to have both. And suddenly you have this balloon of monthly expenses. I think we're just going to see piracy starting to get bigger and bigger again as we see more of these streaming services take hold. In our current situation, not a big deal because you can always just buy the games you want. You don't have to pay monthly for anything. That's great, but I'm just kind of spinning up my doomsday scenario, not because I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist, but because this is what has happened already when it comes to video streaming. So overall, I have a Netflix subscription, so I am very interested to see what kind of video games they make for it, or if they ever actually do this, because again, in the very beginning, I said they're planning to do this because they haven't done it yet. And until they do it, I don't fully believe that they're actually going to follow through and put video games in their service. Again, I don't know how they do it. They're going to need a lot more powerful servers. They're going to need so many different things that video streaming does not need. And I want them to pull it off, but because I've seen so many things like this fail, I don't know how far it'll get in the development process before they go, this is way too expensive, we're going to stick to video, and we're going to go back to making our exclusive shows and just keep putting all of our money towards that, even though most of their exclusive shows and movies are pretty terrible. Comment down below how you feel about a Netflix gaming streaming service, especially if it is really included with your Netflix subscription. Let me know if you'd actually even use it even if you do have Netflix, and if you think it'll ever even happen. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See everybody.